Hi, my name is Corrie Sirota. I'm a clinical social worker and psychotherapist who specializes in grief and loss. I'm also the author of the book Someone Died, Now What?, as well as the clinical director of Myra's Kids Foundation, which is a free weekend-long bereavement program for children ages 6 to 17. Today, I've been tasked to speak to you about grief in teens, something that is very near and dear to my heart as I work with so many youth and I see how they struggle, and I feel that there are ways that we can absolutely help them. Now, we all know that adolescence is a confusing time. At the best of times, it can be about figuring out who you are, where do I fit in, how do I belong here. Add the reality of grief, loss, bereavement, a death in a family, that's going to make it exponentially more challenging for that youth and for the family around who's trying to support that individual. So what do we do? Well, I think the first thing I might suggest is that we spend time creating trust, because any connection with someone when they don't feel like you care, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So really trying to create that bond by, number one, listening more than talking. I believe it's Mark Twain who said if we were supposed to talk more than listen, we'd have 2 mouths and 1 ear. So we need to really listen, but not just listen, but actively listen. Hear what the youth is saying and follow their lead. They have very interesting ideas about the world and how they fit into the world, and grief and tragedy can make it even more challenging for them as they're trying to figure this out. I think we also need to remember to have open and honest discussions. They are fully aware of what it means when someone dies, unlike younger children who may think it's reversible, don't necessarily get the universality of it. With teens, they're acutely aware of the permanency, irreversibility, and your universal concept of death and dying. In fact, they become very philosophical. So let's have some open and honest discussions with them about their thoughts and their feelings. I think we also need to remember to address secondary losses. And that's a piece that I'm not sure we always remember, which is there's the primary loss, which is the death of the special person in their lives, but there's also a number of secondary losses that accompany that. Change of perhaps different things in the family, change of family constellation. Maybe they have to move from the home they were living. Maybe mom, dad, caregiver have to now go to work or have to stop working because of the death that occurred. Maybe there's a change in routines, which we know are so important for all children. Well, here, death is going to make all of those secondary aspects of their life change, and we need to address those and talk to them about it, because there's lots of feelings around that, and I don't think we do enough recognition of all the other pieces that change as someone in their lives has died. I also think we want to respect their timetable. This experience is very different to each and every one of us. You may have already heard from other people that grief is very unique. It's like a snowflake or a fingerprint. No two people grieve the same way. This is not different when it comes to young adults or teenagers, adolescents. They have their own personalities and their own way of grieving, and often can be made to feel like they're doing something wrong because they're not doing it the way in which somebody else in the family or around them perceives they should be. Are they crying enough or crying not enough? Are they sad? Are they not sad? Remember, adolescents just want to fit in. Unfortunately, because of the death of the person in their lives, it makes them a little different. But we want to connect them to people who understand or quote-unquote get it. And that's a really important aspect to recognize, and not put the pressure on them that they're either doing it the right way or the wrong way, because really for me, there is no right way or wrong way as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or dangerous. And sometimes I say, and it'll grow back, then it's really fine. I also want to remind you to be mindful of anniversaries and special days. Because I talk about grief as being like a roller coaster, times that are more manageable and times that are more difficult, there are times that will be quote-unquote triggers, like a holiday, a birthday, an anniversary. And they don't go away. They can exacerbate some of the feelings. So notice, is the teen or youth behaving a little more anxious, behaving a little more quiet if they haven't been a quiet child before? How I look at changes in behavior. Actually, I like to look at FID. Frequency, intensity, and duration. How frequent is the behavior? How intense is the behavior? And how long is the behavior lasting? Because the change is more what I'm concerned about, and that's what I would suggest you look for, is the changes in the behavior, less so than the behavior. And like I said, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or dangerous, pretty much anything, and that goes for all of you, by the way, anything in terms of how one grieves, it is okay, because it's your journey and it's unique to you. The other thing I wanted to suggest or put out there is that not all adolescents are going to be very verbal or know how to express what they're feeling. So let's be creative. Let's encourage them to write it, to talk it, to draw it, to sing it, to act it out, any which way that they feel comfortable that they can share it. And I want to give you some prompts that you can even use, such as, what support do you need? Are you getting it? How can you feel more supported? You can ask them what goals they have for brighter days ahead. Perhaps you want to check in with them and say, what's the one thing you miss right now? One of my favorite things to do with an adolescent is to look for what I call strength-based practice and their ability to pull out their strengths. So what's a strength you recognize in yourself when you have faced adversity? And who do you reach out for when you need to understand something that's going on, or you feel like you need some support? I think all of those questions and more are what I like to think of or define as guided questions, and can help start the discussion. And then you can sit back and let them lead, as I said earlier. There's a very unique opportunity for all of us here to really make a difference in a youth's life when they're struggling with this, with grief and loss. So I want to thank you for taking some time to listen to some of my suggestions, and I hope they resonate with you. I also want to remind you to log on to children'sgriefawarenessday.org for more of these things to watch, to read, to learn, and to do, and how to support grieving children all over the world. Thanks, and take care.